Now we are live. I just started talking to myself for a little bit thinking I was live, but now we are, and that is just great. Today, I have a guest on the show. Might as well bring him on. Craig, I'm about to bring you onto the show. And we are going to be talking about all things CES today. It was the first day of CES 2021, all digital. It was very different than you're used to at the average CES Consumer Electronics show, but it was still interesting. So without further delay, here is Craig, and we'll, intro Craig when bring him on. Ha!
Yes. Hello.
Hello. If you guys...
Headphones, just in case there's some echo. I don't know.
Oh, okay. If there's an echo, I'm just going to kick you out. None of that. For everybody who doesn't know, this is Craig from reviews.org. You can follow them at reviews.org, or you can follow Craig at his Twitter handle, which is at TLP Craig, which is what he has down below. You can also follow me on Twitter at Riggs Sherry if you want. But yeah, that's our information. Craig, tell us a little bit about your channel. What are you about?
Yeah, so reviews.org covers a ton of consumer electronics, home technology stuff. So we cover cell phones like you do, but we also do TV and streaming, internet, home security, smart home equipment, all that stuff. So we have a very wide-ranging amount of content on our channel. And so people can check out the video reviews that we do on YouTube, or they can go straight to the site and read the reviews if they want there. But yeah, there's just a ton of stuff that we do. So CES is always just a smorgasbord of information and stuff that we need to cover as a channel. We always look forward to this time of year. Of course, this year is very different than normal, but yeah.
Very different. Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on. I was on another live stream actually a few weeks ago, Sneed Tech Mobile, and a few commenters were like, do you ever collaborate with Craig from Reviews? And I was like, I sure do, actually. We're good friends, by the way.
And that's when you texted me and was like, we should never collaborate again. All right.
Yeah, this is it. This is the last one, unless you make it good, Craig. Okay, so everybody in the comments who's watching right now, if you want a shout out or anything, if you have any questions about CES or for either of us, let us know. We can answer those questions as they pop up. But today I'm going to cover some cell phone stuff. Craig's going to cover some streaming stuff. That's like his space. And, we'll see how long it goes. Maybe 30 minutes. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe it'll go forever.
Oh, I can talk a long time.
So
very self-absorbed, Sherry. Okay.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that. Oh my goodness, we have a very special guest in the form of Tina Chang in the comments.
Another whistle out bigwig.
Yeah, she's not anymore. She left us. But hi, Tina. Thanks for watching. Congratulations on your new puppy and everything. Your life looks really cute right now.
Scott is wondering what we're going to be talking about on today's stream.
So I will be talking about cell phones announcements that happened, and also talking about some random weird things that were announced today and random weird things that happened during CES. And Craig will be talking about
TV and streaming.
So we got lots of things to cover today. Max Tech Studios wants to come on the stream. Maybe we can schedule a live stream later, Max Tech.
Email.
And yeah, let's get started. So actually, the first thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if you saw this, Craig. Let me bring it on screen. I'm going to blow it up on my screen a little bit and then share.
While you're doing that, can I just point out that what people are seeing behind us, this is CES this year.
Yes.
So in case people weren't familiar with it, CES, normally we go to Vegas. We're there for 4 or 5 days and trying to cover everything. We're walking 10, 15 miles a day trying to cover everything. And now we're, just like with everything else, we're all kind of sitting in our basements covering CES all digitally this year.
Exactly, yeah. And as you can see, Whenever I'm on live streams, people make fun of my TV on couch. This is my bedroom. Craig's in his little studio he has, but this is our creator's space for CES, and I've been sitting in this chair for like 10 straight hours. Okay, let's talk about this. Do you know what this picture is, Craig? Do you know what I've pulled up right here?
I have no idea. I'm excited.
This thing is not a person. That is...
Oh.
This is from LG. As they were making their announcements today, they pulled up this chick and had her make a whole announcement about AR and VR realities. And they were like, we have created her. She is our influencer. Apparently, she's technology, and they make her make music, and she acts, and she's in commercials. She's a fake person. And they just created her for LG. And when I watched that it happen, I just thought that was the craziest thing. That's probably one of the top weirdest things I've seen. I'm just sad
that my secret is out now. I've never been real. I was always a deep fake. I was on reviews.org. We just created a deep fake, and that was me.
A deep fake. Well, we've hung out. They must have done a really good job at faking you. A whole holographic world I was in, apparently.
No, that's crazy. So, okay, so this is, you said, which company?
This LG. Is LG. Yeah.
And okay, so they've created essentially the world's best deep fake and are using her for
advertising.
Advertising, I guess. Yeah.
They make her. She makes music. They put her in scenes like this. Isn't that crazy?
So that one does, I can kind of tell.
This one looks a little bit more fake, but it's still
plastic.
Like...
That's still really amazing.
They've named her. They've given her own Instagram handle. Ria Keem is her name.
Okay.
And she's their influencer now. I think they're trying to make her big, but that was one of the weirdest things that happened for me today.
That's the kind of thing, honestly, we probably shouldn't even be showing people this or like hyping it at all, because if she takes off, that's the end of our careers. But like, this is the equivalent of the robot arm on the factory floor, like doing somebody's job for them. Like pretty soon, she is going to be doing our job on YouTube.
Yes, that's true. We're not going to have jobs anymore. Never mind. Bye, Ria. I'm never talking about you again. But before we switch pace too much, I still want to talk about LG real quick. They have been teasing us with some cool gadgets over the last year, cell phone wise, and LG has a decent lineup of cell phones. But today in their press release, or their press conference rather, they gave us a little snippet of this phone. And is there anything that looks odd to you about this phone, Craig?
Okay, so I think I know what you're getting at here. Is it the little notches kind of above the thumbs there?
Yeah, right here. Do you see this little empty space?
Yep.
So that is apparently a cell phone that rolls closed. So it starts out like this, and then you can open it, kind of like elevator doors, I guess.
This is so cool. Actually, so do they have any other images like of it closed?
No.
That we can look at? Okay, well, anyway, people can imagine. So I didn't watch this one, but I'm kind of imagining you shut it like this and it just rolls into the phone. This was something, I want to say it was 2 years ago at CES in the LG booth. They had these sound bars. So you walk into the LG booth, and they're always famous for having these amazing displays. When you go into the LG booth, maybe it's like a TV tunnel. A tunnel made out of TVs, the wave thing or whatever. Anyway, so they're famous for these displays. And a couple of years ago, you walk in and they had these sound bars set up. And the sound bars were, maybe like 14 or 16 inches by 3 or 4 feet wide. And the LED TV would roll up into the sound bar and stay in the sound bar. And then you'd watch and it would kind of roll out like this. Anyway, I remember looking at that and going, that is really cool. It's amazing that they can make their screens do that, but it'll be even better and more, not just more impressive, but will have more utility when they can roll it tighter. Because the soundbar they were rolling it into was quite large. But now that they can do it into such a small space, that's a use case that actually makes more sense and doesn't cost $25,000 when it finally hits the market.
Yes, yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Oh, come on, PC Mag, interrupting my live stream here. Continue to cite. Ugh. So I was just gonna say, if they can get a flexible screen like this to work, a rollable screen, I think that's pretty impressive. We haven't seen a foldable screen work on a phone yet without being like divots being created or sand getting stuck in the turning mechanism. But a rolling screen, it could potentially have some potential. And here's a gift for you guys. You guys have been watching it, but it rolls up and down and it turns into a large phone into a medium-sized tablet, I guess. So it could be pretty cool, but
well, this is the kind of thing that CES excels at, right? It's showing us something. This is the V1, the first version. This is the first generation of this cool idea, and it may be that sand is going to get stuck in the gears, or something isn't going to quite work after 3 or 4 months, but this isn't. So CES shows us this cool stuff, and somebody with unlimited disposable income can go out and buy it. That's fine. But for the rest of us, it's like, oh, just wait until this hits the V2 and V3, when you get the second generation, the third generation, the stuff that is actually going to be tested, like publicly tested and improved. And so the CES stuff, most of the flashy stuff that people see from CES isn't like, oh, go out to Best Buy and get it today. It's like, look at what's coming down the road in 2 or 3 years. Yeah,
that's very true. I remember last year when we were at CES, we saw the TCL phones that were like slap wristbands.
Yes.
That you could like slap the phone. We couldn't touch those phones, obviously, but they're like those like 90s wristbands you get at like Chuck E. Cheese, and you slip them around your wrist and they latch on. It was like a full-on TV screen around your wrist. Yet to see that in action, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, like with so many of those things, and kind of like with the TV rolling into the soundbar, like I told you about, like that's cool, but really it's just kind of a proof of concept. It's not that I was going to buy that product. It's like, oh, they can roll screens now. Let's see what they do with that.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the wristband thing, it's like, look, I have no use for a literal touchscreen watch phone that goes all the way around my wrist. I'm not going to get that. But so cool that they can do that. I'm really excited to see what they can do with this technology. And this is the kind of thing now that we're seeing that they can do.
Yes, exactly. I'm trying to find a video or a photo of that wrist phone, but this might be the best one we have right here. Let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, do you actually have one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to Google search it real quick. I have so many tabs open right now. It's stupid. Okay, this is great. We'll do this one. 3, 2, and share screen. Okay, so it's this guy. It's this guy right here is supposed to be that phone that can fit around your wrist. But yeah.
And people who pay attention to industry news will notice that there were all these news stories that came out in January and February, kind of around CES last year. And then since then, nobody has uttered a peep about the, foldable wrist phone, because it's not, whatever. It's not a real thing. It's just a cool proof of concept.
Okay, and the last weird piece of tech I wanted to go over, and then we can go over some streaming news from Craig for reviews.org. And then I'll tease a video that I'm coming out with tomorrow for the best cell phone tech that came out today, because there was quite a bit of cell phone news. But before we move on from that, I kind of want to go over LG, or this is TCL actually, and then we can go into your TCL news from that. That's a good segue. Excuse me. So TCL came out with this, you can't really tell what it is. Excuse me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It is it's a tablet that folds.
It's Sherry, it's a scroll.
It's a scroll, yes.
Think 3,000 years ago, or whatever, 1,500 years ago, you get the scrolls and they find them in the caves. This is a scroll. This is a modern day electronic.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a pirate's map. Like, let's see where the treasure is. Who is going to find the room to put this in a purse? I don't know. Or put this in a pocket. I don't find this realistic at all. But, there we are. This is the last piece of funny tech I saw today. And I'm sure we'll see more funny tech like this along the way.
But I mean, again, it's proof of concept. Why not? Like, they'll be able to do this in 5 years, 10 years.
You know what I just thought of that is intriguing to me in this moment right now? We keep saying like proof of concept. We don't know if they even have this concept out because they could just be making up this technology because we can't hold it this year. They're just making up the most ridiculous pieces of tech they can think of, putting it on a green screen, getting some really good animators.
You know what? That is why we miss Las Vegas, right, Sherry? That's why.
That's the only reason why we miss Las Vegas. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it has been a challenge, and we'll move on to TV and streaming stuff in a moment, but it has been a challenge this year to cover CES in an all digital experience because all we have to go on is that sort of thing. I was thinking about it earlier. There are 3 different general categories of things that you do at CES. First, you've got the wandering around the booths and just checking stuff out, talking to different companies and checking out their products and whatnot. Second, you've got the kind of behind the scenes, let's go off to this whatever private suite and chat with the PR team from whatever company, and it's all off the record, and you kind of get the down low as a media person, forge relationships that way. That's all kind of behind the scenes stuff. Right. And then the third thing is the presentations, and the press conferences that all these, especially the bigger companies, put on. And basically, we've completely taken away the whole booth wandering thing.
Yes.
Which was easily the most fun part of CES. It might not have been the most effective part, as a media person, but it's the most fun.
Yeah.
The private stuff, the kind of connecting with the companies behind the scenes, that's hit or miss this year because it's all digital. Basically, what we're left with is the worst part of the show.
That's all the cheesy announcements.
It's pure cheese with all the announcements, and we can't actually hold this stuff. And so, it is pretty tough to cover. It's been a long day.
Yes, it has been. I mean, the first press conference started at 4:30 a.m. and it is now 4:30 p.m. for me. That's 12. Let's be real here. I was not up at 4:30 a.m. But some people were. Some people have been watching this covering all day, and there hasn't been crazy news, but there's been exciting news. Side note, real quick, we're not talking politics in the chat. If you are, I'm going to block
you. Hooray! Hooray! We're not talking politics. Hooray!
Yeah. I think Lawless has been causing some trouble. Look, dude. No, I'm not going to put up with this. Stop commenting or enjoy the conversation. You don't get to talk about what you want to talk about. Okay, Craig. Let's go to TLC or TCL.
TCL, streaming and TV stuff. Now, look, there's going to be a lot more to come. TCL is doing their big spotlight tomorrow, so there may be more stuff to come. But what I'm going to talk about today isn't necessarily the technical stuff around TVs. The 8K TVs and 800,000 inch TVs that take up the entire side of your house or whatever. There's all that fun stuff. But as far as stuff that we're actually going to be able to use, the coolest thing that has come out of announcements the last couple of days is Sony announced a few days ago and TCL announced today that they are both going to be releasing TVs in 2021 that integrate the Google TV platform. So if people aren't familiar, you've seen Roku, you've seen Fire TV, maybe you've seen Android TV or Apple TV. These are all software platforms that allow you to go and stream, Netflix or CBS All Access or whatever streaming service you want to use. Chromecast was always kind of the redheaded stepchild of the streaming device family because it had no platform. It all just depended on you using your phone to cast something to your TV. Yeah. Well, the new Chromecast that came out in October had that capability, and it could, do that even better than before in 4K and HDR and all that. But it also had its own software platform called Google TV. And so the Google TV platform, I absolutely love. And I've got videos explaining all that. I can get into that if you'd like. I'm happy to extol the virtues of Google TV. But what they've done is now they're integrating with TCL and Sony TVs. So if you've got some cash to burn, the Sony TVs, it's the Sony Bravias. They're going to high-end, really nice 4K and 8K TVs that are going to have Google TV integrated. And then on the regular person side of things, we've got the TCL TVs that are generally more affordable. And we don't know how many models or when they're going to come out or what the price is, but TCL, their whole thing is affordable. And so we're going to have some of those in 2021, which I think is really exciting because now Google TV, which a brand new platform that I absolutely love, is going to potentially be competing with the big boys, the Rokus, the Fire TVs, the Android TVs. Well, that's a special case because Android TV eventually will become Google TV, I think, everywhere that it can. But anyway, so this is really exciting. And this is the kind of news that I look for at CES. And if you look at the press releases for all these cool TVs, this sort of thing is kind of like it's buried. They don't really care. But this is the kind of thing that actually affects the way that you and I can watch TV and what we're going to get in our daily experiences with these TVs. It's the opposite kind of that, the rollable TV that I saw 2 years ago, where it's like, oh, that's neat. That's fun to see. I'm not going to be able to afford that for 8 or 10 more years.
Right. Yeah.
But this is something that's going to affect us almost immediately. So I love news like this.
Yeah.
Especially when it's Google TV, which I like.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you access to all of the apps and everything that you use every day anyways. Yeah, we have some people in the comments saying like Sony's way too expensive, baby blue, Sony's way too much. And that's true. And that's what you were saying, the TCL TVs and these budget electronics that are coming out more recently. That's why they're super exciting for normal people. Normal consumers like you and I, as much as maybe our viewers like to think we're rolling in it, we are not. We are average consumers.
That YouTube money is pretty sweet, Sherry. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, one day it will be. That's the goal. Exactly. But yeah, that's super exciting for TCL. So I wonder, you sent me a link. Is there anything interesting on this page you want me to pull up? Maybe just besides. Here we have it. This is just
that's essentially what we're talking about, and it's kind of that same thing I was talking about with in the press releases. It's just almost a footnote. You get this tiny little section, and then you get these massive sections about the tech specs, which if you're an in-depth tech writer, maybe you care. If you're a real power user, maybe you care. But for the vast majority of us, that tech spec sheet might as well be Greek.
Right.
But this is the kind of thing, and it's kind of a similar thing here. So TCL had their hour-long press conference, which is an advertising video.
Seriously.
And this was it's a 45-second segment that's kind of just sandwiched in there somewhere. So yeah, that's basically what it's telling us. The cool thing, actually, if you want to flip over to the Sony one, Sony has made the same announcement that they're going to be putting out some Google TVs, which is very confusing to say. But
Google TV.
Not only do they have, are these going to be on the Sony Bravias, which is very cool, but those TVs will actually also have access to a new service. I just need to remember the name of it. It's like Bravia Plus or something like that. Gosh, I need to make sure I actually write these things down. Bravia Core. That's what it is.
Okay.
So Bravia Core is a streaming service. It's Sony's streaming service. Now, keep in mind, they already have Crackle, but they're launching a streaming service that will be exclusive, at least for now, to the Sony Bravia TVs. And it's going to have a ton of Sony's backlog of content, the movies, the TV shows, and whatnot. And they're going to open that up because it's so exclusive and because they are catering to the high-end Bravia customers. They're going to open it up so that you can stream 4K at 80 megabits per second if your connection is able to handle that. So for context, if you are streaming 4K on Netflix, they max out at about 25 megabits per second as you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll get you great 4K quality. Well, imagine
Yeah.
the quality that you can get at 80 megabits per second. Basically, there will be no difference, again, as long as your connection can handle it, no difference between streaming a movie and watching the 4K UHD HDR Blu-ray. And that's streaming. That's not something that we have been able to get streaming yet. So, and this is another one of those things, like, it's Bravia, whatever I called it, Bravia something.
Bravia something.
Bravia Core.
There we go, yeah.
It's been on these for a while, but my assumption is that they'll run this for a year or two, kind of work out the technical kinks of it and whatnot, and then eventually we'll have another streaming service to deal with called Bravia, because that's what we all need, is more streaming services in our life, right?
Hey, it keeps you in a job, that's for sure.
Ain't that the truth?
For people who are tuning in late, Craig is the host of reviews.org. He reviews tons of things, but the bulk of his reviews are streaming services. He is the streaming service king. So if you're interested in that kind of content, like the best of channels, the best channels on Roku, the best channels wherever, Craig has got that for you over at reviews.org. I have kept you talking long enough, sir. I'm taking back over my channel. I'm just kidding. Is there anything else you wanted to add about any streaming service news?
No, that's it from day one. We'll see what the rest of CES has in store. So for people who are watching, I put a link in the chat. You can go check out reviews.org. I'm going to put out a video today about the kind of the stuff that I just talked about, and I'll be covering the rest of CES from my side of things, and we have people covering it with the phones and the smart home stuff and all that. So please go subscribe. We'd love to see you there. Yeah, glad I was able to share a little bit of screen time with you.
Yeah, for sure. I still want you on here, though, and I'm trying to open up your channel so I can share the link and the subscription link, but I cannot find it. I just need a second. You know, I'm slightly dyslexic, and I can never remember if it's I before E or E before I, and so it takes me like multiple tries to figure it out. Okay, here we go. Here is reviews.org. Scott, no preference, says thanks, Craig. Hey, I agree. Thank you, Craig. Here is the link to reviews.org if you want to subscribe or check out his channel. It is down below. They have multiple, it's a whole network over at Reviews. They have 4 people reviewing stuff all the time. So it's a pretty awesome resource to have. The one thing we haven't talked about yet that I said we would talk about in the title is Verizon.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Here's the thing. At Whistleout, Verizon is technically a partner. Like, we work with them to help, you know, they're on our website. We send people to them for cell phone plans. However, this press conference they had today was basically nonsense. It was everything I already knew about 5G. And they were just like, they were showing the applications of 5G, but not everybody has access to 5G. So they couldn't even experience the applications they were talking about. And specifically, I kind of just want to open up, let's see, I need to share my screen again. I want to open up my Twitter feed because I was able to, they had this thing where you could scan a QR code and you could open up a live augmented virtual reality concert in your own room. I did it. However, it took multiple minutes, and this is kind of what it looked like. So, I mean, you can't really tell. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more. But it had you scan the QR code, then scan your wall, and it opened up a concert on your wall. And as much as I wanted it to work, you can see it's frozen, and there were supposed to be 3 different camera views. As soon as I tried camera view number 2, it failed horribly. It canceled out on me. But, I mean, overall, a cool potential, but it just didn't work out. And the rest of Verizon's announcement was basically, we have 5G, we have ultra wideband, and to be fair, Verizon's ultra wideband is pretty awesome. It can get 3 gigabit download speeds, which is 3,000 megabits per second, which is really impressive. But again, it's not in lots of places. Do anybody in my comments, do you guys have ultra wideband where you are, or what kind of Verizon coverage do you have where you are? Because they keep talking about it, how awesome it is, and it is so awesome, but I think it's only in like 10% of the country right now. Only a few people can even experience it.
Yeah, well, we're waiting to hear from them. I'll tell you, I'm a Verizon customer, and so, and I have been one for like 12 years or something. So anything that I say about Verizon, take it with that grain of salt. Like, I use them; their network works great for me. At least on 4G.
Yeah.
But when I went shopping for a phone earlier this year, or I guess last year, I went shopping for a new phone, and 5G phones were being pushed in front of me, and I just kind of had to say, you know what, it's not time yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, the coverage isn't there, but also frankly, where there is coverage, the signal isn't there yet.
Right.
Like, if you live and work right next to a tower, congratulations, go get your 5G phone. It's going to be fantastic. But if you don't, then, I just kind of went, you know what, I'm going to save a couple $100 and go with a 4G phone until that gets figured out.
Yeah, truly. And we also need to talk about your home internet coverage is also really killer. You don't really need, like, for me, I get 5G. When I open my window, I get 5G on my cell phone.
When you open your window.
Yeah, when I open my window, it's killer.
You're so lucky you live in California.
But my actual home internet is like, if on a good day, it's 50 upload and 10 download, and it's miserable. Yours is like, what's yours, Craig? Give me an average.
Gig down, gig up.
A gig up?
Yeah. I've got fiber. It's sweet. I'm very cool. I own many leather-bound books, and people want to know me, et cetera, et cetera.
You have your own studio. You're so cool. Dang, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, the Verizon press conference was nothing to write home about. I wish there was something more interesting that took place during that press conference, but let's see. I took a few notes on what they talked about because I said I'd review it. They talked about sporting events, how they're equipping sporting centers. Why did I say sporting centers? What's it called?
Like
Venues. Equipping sporting venues with 5G, which is pretty great. I mean, if you've ever been to a football game and tried to Instagram or Snapchat something, it's nearly impossible. So 5G will help with that. They talked about creating smart cities, and they also talked about going carbon neutral by 2035. So it was just a bunch of jibber jabber from Verizon, but I wish it was something more interesting, but it just wasn't. So sorry.
This is again kind of getting meta a little bit, and to let people. I'm peeling back the curtain on CES a little bit.
Peel it back.
When we talk about these huge companies, the Verizons, the Sonys, the whatever else, it's not rare, but it's less likely that you're going to hear from a huge company some massive new announcement that's going to, that's really going to light the world on fire, because these big companies, they have their own events. They don't need CES these days to get the word out about their cool new 5G phone or, whatever their new initiative is. And so when you watch the Verizon program or whatever, it's not, like you said, this is stuff that you already knew about. They're just using CES as kind of a little hype machine.
Yeah,
get a little bit of hype, and it's unlikely that we're going to get a lot of like really cool news out of the big companies. It's more likely, like in your case, it's more likely that you're going to hear about some really cool new MVNO that comes out with cell phone plans that are going to, light the world on fire or something.
That's true.
That's more likely, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, everybody watching, we are going to be closing shop soon. If you have any questions for Craig or myself about CES, about Craig's channel, you want to ask about any sort of like streaming service, you want to ask me questions about what cell phone plans you should get, I don't know, ask away. We'll be bouncing soon, but we just have a few more things to talk about CES-wise, and then we'll be heading out. What was your highlight of today, Craig, for CES? What was your favorite part?
I think it's the stuff that I've already shared is kind of my highlight. My highlight the last 3 years has been the TCL stuff. TCL is a brand that people know if they've got their TV in the home, but otherwise probably don't know much about. But everywhere outside the US, TCL is a mega brand. I'm talking, huge mega brand. And so when TCL talks, I listen, because that's stuff that has been worldwide. It's a huge company in China. They've made a ton of inroads in Europe. And now they're working their way into the US. They came in with TVs. Last year, they made their announcement of phones, but they've got a whole suite of other products that they're starting to put out little seeds of information saying that, our washer and dryer are going to be available in your home soon. Our refrigerator, which is a massive bestseller elsewhere in the world, is going to be available in your home soon. So the TCL announcements are always kind of a highlight for me, and that was the same this year.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked to watch TCL, especially. This is a good way to end the program here. They announced some awesome budget cell phones. They announced a line of budget cell phones, which I will be going over tomorrow. There was tons of cell phone tech that came out today that I was actually surprised about. Qualcomm made some announcements. TCL made some announcements. Samsung had a really cool announcement about upcycling and recycling phones and how instead of just throwing your phone away or trading it in and doing whatever else, there's some really cool options you can do with your old cell phones. And I will be going over that. I'm filming after we're done with this podcast. I'm going to be going to film the new cell phone tech for 2021 from CES. But yeah, TCL has become a favorite of mine since CES last year. Their booth was awesome. Their announcements are fun. Their technology is legit. Yeah, all around stand TCL.
They're a great example of what I was talking about earlier, where the first version of something is cool, but you might want to wait until V2, V3 come around, because last year, the single biggest at all of CES, everything I went to, the single biggest audience gasp moment was at the TCL presentation where they started talking about their new phones. They unveiled 3 new phones with the quad camera and the amazing display. TCL is known for their displays, and they went through all the specs that you're going to get from this phone. And it's like, gee, mini Christmas, is this an iPhone or a Samsung S20 or something? What is this? And then they got to their last slide and they said, we're going to be selling all of these for under $500 US.
I remember that. Yeah.
And everybody lost their minds. How are you going to do this? Anyway, so they made this announcement. It was a huge gasp moment. And then the phones came out and the phones were good, but it turned out that they weren't great. No, you weren't buying a Samsung. No, you're not buying an iPhone. But now with the V2, I think, with the 2021 lineup that they've announced, we have a better chance that they will have worked out some of those kinks, and these phones will be major contenders against those bigger name brands.
Yeah,
so that makes sense. I'm not crapping on the TCL phones that they released last year. They're great for what they were, but there's a lot of room to improve, and I'm betting that they'll have made a lot of improvements.
Yeah. They're offering, we'll just give you a little tease for my video tomorrow, they're offering a 5G awesome smartphone for under $300. For $299 you can bust into the 5G offerings, which is like stupid. If you had asked me a year ago if there would be phones under $300 where you can get 5G, I would have said you were crazy.
We should all be cheering TCL on, because if you remember when they came into the TV market about 7 or 8 years ago, TVs were 3 times the price per square inch that they are now. TCL came in and they said, nope, we can make your flat screen TV for a fraction of the cost. And then all these other companies went, crap. And so they all started integrating this technology and bringing their prices down. And so that's my hope with TCL's phones. TCL, OnePlus, these other kind of budget to mid-range phone brands coming in and making Samsung and Apple look over their shoulder and say, you know what, maybe we can't actually charge $1,400 for a phone anymore.
As I had just paid $1,400 for my phone.
Yes.
Let's see. Scott No Preference says he has a TCL TV. It's the best TV you can get with a warranty. That's legit for the dollar amount.
Yep, I got one right here. I use my TCL phone or TCL TV every day.
Dang, yeah. And then Ethical Barajas Aguilar says if we get 4G devices, we pay double when 5G coverage is ready. Okay, don't.
Just say. I think saying that like if I buy a 4G phone now, then I have to upgrade when 5G comes out, and then I've paid for a phone twice. But
that's true. That's very true. Yeah, if you're thinking
it's not necessarily the case. If I can answer that for just a moment, 5G, just because 5G is ready, doesn't mean that everything that 5G will make possible will be ready. 5G is going to make certain technologies possible, and that will lag even further behind the actual 5G infrastructure. And so as we've seen 5G have a really, really slow rollout, and then once the networks are actually in place and the coverage is massive, it's going to take a few more years after that for 5G to become a necessity. So Barajas Aguilar, hang on to your 4G phone. If you don't want to upgrade, it's okay. You're going to be just fine for the foreseeable future. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's true. And I can say as a 5G phone owner, the most exciting thing for me is going around and testing 5G speeds. I haven't really noticed a huge increase of the quality of my life by owning a 5G phone. The biggest thing I have with my 5G phone from Apple is just that my pictures are so much better. And that's what I tell people. I feel like I end every live like this and every video about a 5G phone. If you're going to get a 5G phone, don't get it because it has 5G. Get it because it's just better all around. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, let's see. You guys didn't have any questions. It's been 40 plus minutes, and Craig and I have had a long day creating content. Okay, so
this is us unwinding, Sherry. Okay, we're just hanging out. Okay, people are just watching us hang out and bitch about the presentation thing, the website, the terrible CES website or whatever. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I in the CES backside for everybody who is not a media person for CES, you don't know this. But you can comment. There's like a whole social media thing happening on CES's website. And I commented, I'm like, why can't I contact any of these companies? Why is it just their logo on like the exhibitor list? And the CES people were like, oh, it will go live tomorrow. I'm like, why?
Great.
Why? I'm just looking at logos right now. I want to get in contact with these companies, but I can't until tomorrow.
Yeah, to be charitable, this is everybody's doing their best. CES has done their best to make it an event worth going to. The exhibitors are doing their best to, make presentations that are informative and fun and interesting. And so I am grateful that the event is happening and that it's as good as it is. It's just, because we're used to going and covering it live, this one's a little bit just like, ugh. It just makes me wish I was there again.
Maybe I'm hangry. I need to go get some food. I'm like, don't cost me right now.
Exactly.
Mrs. Ish, you're looking for a new phone with a new line. DM us on any social media platform and we can help you find that. We're about to close down this live. But thanks for everybody for watching. You guys have been really awesome, minus the one racist guy that popped on for a second, but he is blocked. He's out of here. Everybody else has been awesome. Thanks for the support, you guys.
Glad I made the cut.
You've sucked. I'm just kidding. You did great. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. I have 2 other lives coming this week. One on Wednesday with Sneed Tech Mobile and one on Friday with Stetson Doggett. Sneed, if you know Sneed, he likes to dive deep into tech, and I am not where he is on his level. But if you love diving deep into broadband and mobile numbers and definitions and bands and spectrums, that live is for you. And then on Friday, Stetson and I are just going over our favorite gadgets that we saw this week. So I think it's going to be a fun week of content, and I will see y'all there. Thanks again, Craig from reviews.org for joining.